Stavros Tousios for M4Markets. Today we're going to focus on gold and also dollar against the Canadian loonie. Well, gold, guys, we have talked about that sort of consolidation here and the downsides potential following a rejection at the cluster between the 38 Fibonacci and the upper trend line of a descending channel. We've come down to the 50% without doing a new swing low, and that remains the case also from the low of May 30, which suggests that it's starting to really resembling a triangle pattern, okay, which means that, and despite, of course, we see that RSI over here, and you're thinking like, oh, look, it looks a bit like a divergence. We don't have it yet. So what happens with triangles is that they typically break out to the direction of the predominant trend. If this is our predominant trend, this is the 1, the 2, the 3, we have a fourth correction, a 4-wave correction here, and we get the 5th wave down where this first leg to the downside is expected to end. Okay, and can it go to 1906? Yes. Can it just stop anywhere below the previous low? Yes, as well. But it is important that if and as we fall, I'm expecting a short-term upside and then a breakdown. It's important that we see the RSI remain above the oversold level of 18 or so. Because by having the lower low in the price and the higher low on the RSI, we get a divergence, and this divergence is going to be a signal for potential correction to the upside, which of course is going to be the determinant of whether we're going to see further upside from there or we're going to continue lower if and should the 1984 or so level, whether it holds or whether it gets softer. So this is the idea pretty much for gold, guys. And as we look the BOC's decision yesterday, as well as we were looking at it, dollar against the Canadian, importantly, we've actually come down once again and we retested that channel low. Now this is the probably 5th time, I would say, that we've gone down and really added to the downside. Last time we talked about this upside potential, and we did see that potential being actually printed in the markets as an outcome, and we came up to around 136.50 without breaking the previous stop and turned back again. Now there is some sort of similarity with gold here, but structurally speaking we are looking at a much higher degree here. There is also potentially a triangle pattern over here, okay? If you connect all these dots, you have something like A, B, C, D, and E potentially, or E ending up here, which would then mean that this is like a correction. You have the triangle in here, and then this is supposedly going to be another a break to the downside in the medium term. Now, and since we actually see a bounce over here and a rejection, this typically it's like a signal of potential upside. Okay, the question is, can we get it? Well, we don't see any divergence, but we didn't see any divergence in this particular case either. We don't see divergences, guys, when we have triangles. Actually, what happens is that we see consolidation. So the RSI is moving exactly as price is here. That's why I am looking at this as an actual triangle, right? Now, if the predominant trend also is to the downside, because we had a down leg impulse and then a correction, so I expect this to be the last move for the triangle, and then a breakdown. Now, if this is 1, 2, and 3, and 4, someone can say this is 5. We're gonna get correction and then further continuation to the downside. But I personally don't see this as the end, guys, because if we look closer and we see at the structure of that last leg to the downside, you're going to see that something is missing here. It's like something is missing. It's like it needs one more leg to the downside. So perhaps in this case, we're going to see something like this. Just go below that low, so we get that divergence signal, and then over here start correcting to the upside. Once we get to around 134.50 or so, then we can look again at the signals on the RSI and of course on the price action and how we're moving up here, whether this is going to be a offer to move to the upside or a continuation to the downside.